Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be doing a little bit of a different video. Today we'll be talking about sub-severe weather and also a big pattern change that'll be coming up for across portions of the central and eastern United States. But let's first talk about the severe weather that'll be going along with this. There will be a cold front coming through that will bring in the pattern change. So let's talk about the severe weather first. So today we have two areas of enhanced risk. Got one across portions of northwestern Minnesota and far southeast central South Dakota. You also got another one for far southeast central Montana and southwest uh, North Dakota and portions of northern South Dakota. And and I meant for this area here, I meant to say far southeast North Dakota. I accidentally said South Dakota. That's North Dakota there. Here's the tornado threat. Should be staying pretty low today. Your better chance for at least for a spit of tornado will be across mainly eastern North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota. Damaging winds will be the primary threat for both areas, although some hail could occur as well with that cold front. And let's take a look into the NAM NETS model here, which I think it's the most accurate one for this setup here. You can see here's your initial squall line right there. It looks like it's happening a little bit later potentially, so we're going to kind of watch the trends there. And you can see how it slowly dies out there. You can also see new storms develop in that other enhanced risk area, and they actually join forces there as well. And those could be some very nasty storms there, so we're going to keep an eye on both of these here. And I don't think this here will be quite a derecho event because of how short-lived these storms are. They're also not even moving that fast. They're moving kind of slow. So, and probably won't produce too much of anything of major wind damage or anything like that. So, I don't think that this one here will be a derecho type of event. So let's kind of go back to SPC outlook here. Let's move on to day 2, which is tomorrow. We got a slight risk for severe weather across most of Minnesota into northwestern Iowa, far eastern Nebraska, and far northwestern Wisconsin. Which I know some of those areas have some of those areas got hit hard by the derecho the other day, back on Monday. But it doesn't look like this will be a setup we won't be seeing that. Hopefully we don't see that happen again in those same areas. That'd be some pretty bad news. But anyway, so we do have an elevated threat for a possibility for a couple tornadoes across central Minnesota there with a 5% chance. You also got a 15% chance for damage to winds. Keep in mind, these are in a 25-mile radius, so keep in mind. So, like for example here for the tornado threat, you have a 5% of a 5% chance of getting potentially a tornado in a 25-mile radius. So within your 25-mile radius, there's a 5% chance of getting a tornado within your 25-mile radius. So that's what it pretty much means. And the same thing goes for other risks like damage winds. And there can also be some significant hail as well. So that could be larger than 2 inches in diameter. Hail, that's what the hatched area means there. So primary threat's going to be a couple tornadoes, damage winds, and potentially some very large hail will be your primary threats for tomorrow. And let's go on and move on to tomorrow. So this might be a little MCV potentially right here that could spawn in some new storms. You can see here, you got another squall line of storms. You can see a couple of Boeing segments here, so that could lead to some damage to winds there, especially across the northern portions here. We could see an enhanced risk upgrade for damage to winds across northern Minnesota if this verifies. So yeah, and that kind of moves on there. Then if we move on to day 3, which is a much lower risk, got a marginal risk anyway from upper Michigan into eastern Wisconsin, into northwestern Indiana, into central Illinois, and into south central Missouri. And I think the primary threat on the state here will be damage winds, and that's it. And I think we'll be maintaining a marginal risk at this point here. Let me show you guys why here. So this is the NAM here. There's your initial squall line of storms. Those will actually die out. And then a couple of storms will form on the cold front, along the cold front there, and I think that's a little bit accurate there. That we'll probably see a couple of storms form along the cold front here. And this cold front will have some energy with it, so you probably will get some damage winds from those small cells there. And that might even continue to the lower Ohio Valley, down to the Tennessee Valley, even up into portions of the Northeast as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on that there. So that's severe weather pretty much out of the way. Let's talk about what this cold front can bring here in terms of this big pattern change that'll be coming. So your cold front is pretty much like right in here. So the Xer is already bringing in. Now, I believe this is in Fahrenheit here. No, this is actually in Celsius. So you got temperatures about 12 degrees below normal in Celsius, which is very cool. And this is from the GFS here. And then you can see here, your cold front kind of stalls out in this region in here, which that can lead to a lot of rainfall across portions anywhere from the southeastern United States up to the portions of the northeastern United States. So that can lead to a flash flooding threat for a few days. You can see here, over these next few days, it just kind of stays there, kind of sticks around. Now, not a lot of people should not be complaining about this because this will bring in more fall-like type of temperatures for portions of the United States. You can see when you get into those purples there, that's like 8 degrees below normal in Celsius. So that's like 10 to 15 degrees below normal right there. So in general here, in your blues there, in general here, this is about 10 to 15 degrees below normal. Even isolated areas could be 20 degrees below normal. So that's a big pattern change for the eastern United States. However, when you go to the western United States, it is very, very warm over there. Pretty much hot. Basically, summary conditions there is very hot, humid. I don't know about humid, but it's looking to be very, very warm over there. So it's honestly about time for a pattern change because the eastern United States, and well, in general, most of the United States has been extremely warm back in July and June. And now we're starting to see this pattern change come up. So, yeah, and this cold air seems to be sticking around through pretty much the middle of August here, and maybe even into late August. But we'll see about that. Things could change that far out there. Let's move on to the European model. Now, these are actual temperatures. So this is what's going on right now. You got a low pressure system across the Dakotas area, which will bring some severe weather. Let's move on to Friday evening. Your cold front's pretty noticeable. 82 degrees at St. Paul. Meanwhile, at St. Cloud is 70 degrees. So that's a 12-degree difference there. So it's a pretty decent cold front. And here's 2 o'clock here now. I think the European model is going to be a little bit too warm on this here. And it's been like that for quite a bit. You can also notice there's a slow low pressure system moving across Kentucky there around that time frame, which I could bring us some flash flooding for some of those areas as well. And your cold front starts to continue to move to the southeast and kind of dies down. Your cold front is right in here, so on Sunday evening. So it's now approaching the Appalachian Mountains regions. And again, like I said, I think it's a little bit too warm here. Maybe a little bit too warm for some of these areas in here. 68 degrees up to Minnesota. Maybe around 84 across Kentucky. That may be a little bit too warm, in my opinion. And the European model has been that way for past quite a few days. Actually, during the entire summer, actually. This is the GFS model, pretty similar. You got a high pressure system across this portions of the central and eastern United States. You got a front that's stalled out in this region here, which is bringing quite a bit of rain, which we'll take a look to rainfall totals the next 10 days. You can see here about your morning lows can be very cool. 51 degrees central Indiana just for the GFS. The European model is a little bit warm, but I'll say some of those isolated areas could see temperatures that cool in the mornings. That's isolated. 70s Wednesday, then Thursday next week again 70s, and things start to warm up from there. But looks for the European model. But you can tell here. Look at the desert Southwest, 115 degrees, so it's going to be extremely warm across portions of the western United States. So yeah, and that can also increase the wildfire danger, which is not some good news there as well. If we're going to have some basically some winds with this, which it looks like it. There could be some winds with it, which is not good news there at all. So let's take a look at the amount of rainfall. So this is the next 5 days here, and it's looking like most of the rain looks to be across portions of Virginia. About general 4 to maybe 7 inches of rain, but when you go to the next 10 days, pretty much about the same here. But you can tell here, kind of a little bit of active pattern across portions of the southeastern United States here. And the European model is really having a hard time with this low pressure system that been going by some of these regions in here across the lower Ohio Valley. So do expect some of these rainfall amounts to be a little bit higher in some of these regions in here since it's having a hard time with this here. GFS is also a little bit low end as well, but although I think it's a little bit more realistic across portions of the southeast and the mid-Atlantic regions as well. Although not a whole lot of rain talked about, not much of anywhere in the United States. It's looking like the southeastern United States looks to be the wettest for right now. So that's something interesting here. You can tell. Look at the entire central, western, even portions of the northeastern United States. Everybody just really just dry in the next 10 days. So GFS is a little bit more wetter, but that's still not a lot of rain. About half an inch rain for the next 10 days is still not a lot of rain. So that's really going to probably raise some concerns across some of these regions in here that need rain. That could cause some drought issues, especially across the western United States, where some drought issues can occur there as well. And let's take a look into the Climate Prediction Center's latest outlook here. Let me zoom this out here real quick. So I almost forgot to put this up here. So this is the next 6 to 10 days for temperatures. You can see where the core of the below average temperatures is pretty much across portions of the lower Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, even across the mid-Mississippi Valley, and even into portions of the Southern Plains. Although it's likely to be very warm across portions for most of the western United States and the Rockies there as well. And here's your precipitation. The core of the driest conditions for precipitation, it's looking to be across the portions of the Midwest down into pretty much along the Mississippi valleys there as well. It's also looking to be a little bit wetter across the southeast like I've been talking about there. Also looking to be a little bit wetter across the northwest and even across portions of the desert southwest, which that'll be due to some monsoon season. This is 8 to 14 days here. Corey, your dry conditions look to be across the central plains. Pretty much the entire plain, most of the plains, they're looking to be mainly dry in the 8 to 14 days. And when you look at the temperatures, pretty similar. You start to get some high pressure to build across the north, so that's really going to keep core the normal conditions across really across like Dixie Alley, Tennessee Valley, Lower Ohio Valley, the mid-Mississippi valleys, and even the lower Mississippi Valley as well, in the Arley, Texas. Those regions there looking like to probably get some of the best weather here for over the next maybe up to 14 days, and for some of those regions as well. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you're never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put a comment section down below. I'll answer you guys questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.